Good morning, everybody. You have tuned into the Talk About Your Community live stream LinkedIn Live show. My name is Todd Nielsen. I'm your host. The company I represent is the Clocktower Advisors, and we perform work around digital engagement and strategy for building online communities and digital workplaces. If we can help you with this, you can find out more about us at clocktoweradvisors.com. In the meantime, what we're here to talk about today is all sorts of community opportunities, so whether they're live in person or online, or my favorite, a combination of the two, hybrid communities. If this is your first time in the stream, this is a live and interactive stream, so I do strongly encourage comments, shout outs, ideas shared from folks that are tuning in. If you're catching this on the live stream, please do add comments, like, and share as well. I do try to read everybody's comments and respond in some fashion, even if it's just acknowledging you with a like. And if you happen to know somebody that is interested in building a community, and who among us isn't, then I'd encourage you to please reach out and invite them to attend this stream, which is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. U.S. Central Time. I believe that's UTC or GMT minus 5 or 6, something like that. So, hey, good morning, Jenny. Jenny Wiggle of Jenny.community. She is a collaborator and friend, is on just about every stream. Great to see you, and happy Friday to you as well. Yes, we've made it to the end of another week, and it has been super crazy busy and a lot of fun. Wow. Hey, and I see Sandy Mahalik is on the line too. Great to see you as well. I know it's been a while since we chatted, but thanks so much for joining the stream. It's good to see you here. Sandy is a longtime friend from back in the Milwaukee area when I was living down in Milwaukee, and she's a marketing professional and just extraordinary all around, great person to know. So why don't we go ahead and get things underway for today's stream. My guest is a friend and a colleague from, wow, I'm thinking about 20 years back. He is the director of civic engagement for SPR. I think it's just SPR these days. It's not SPR companies anymore, right?
Right.
Probably stepped aside from that. Pat Maher. Pat, you and I go back a good ways. And I've had the good fortune of learning from you and collaborating with you on a number of fronts over the years. But in particularly, you have educated me and helped me see the importance of engaging with persons with disabilities, across the board, and particularly in the information technology space over the years. So you've been a friend, a mentor, and just all around handsome, good guy, and I'm just thrilled that you agreed to come onto the stream to be a guest today and talk a little bit about sort of what you're seeing in the workforce for people with disabilities. Thanks and welcome.
Well, thanks so much, Todd. You've been a mentor to me on many levels through the years, so I was flattered to be asked. I join the stream regularly and learn a ton on digital community structure and challenges, wins and losses, various apps, most of which are foreign to me until they're mentioned on or noted on the stream. Anyway, I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thanks, man. It's so good to get to see in person. I know we haven't had a chance to have the face-to-face in quite some time, even before the pandemic, simply because I moved farther away. Unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to do that. But we're continuing to make plans to get together, sometime, when it's safe to do so here in the near future.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we could talk a little bit today about some of the recent work you've been doing around equal access, and in particular, some of the groups that I've had some interactions with in the past, and sort of catch me up to date on what's been happening, I know you've also been involved with a group called Yolobe, if I'm saying it right. David, that runs that group, has been working with you for some online versions of community for people with disabilities. Catch me up a little bit on what you've been working on.
Sure. Thanks, Todd. So Yolbe.
Yolobe. Okay, thank you.
And it's not easy. It's a mouthful. It was initially launched by David Douglas and a partner out of 1871 in the Merchandise Mart in Chicago, which is a tech startup community and space. He reincorporated recently, dropping one O.
Oh, that's why I was saying it wrong.
Flows
Okay.
more easily, Yolbe.
So of course I tripped over it.
No, everyone does. But David actually, as many entrepreneurs do, this came as a project of passion. He has 3 daughters, and as I recall, his middle daughter was having some challenges in her early career development, despite being raised upper middle class communities and strong education. She didn't have the, as David refers to it, social capital that many of us have taken for granted in our lives from a young age. And I really love the intention of that term, social capital. It really is what gets your foot in the door with early internships, positions, etc. Either a friend in the neighborhood, a aunt or uncle, or someone close to the family got you an internship or a summer job. And many of us who grew up with that privilege, really it's out of sight, out of mind. But many young people in challenged communities, in rural communities, communities of color, don't have those advantages. And so David thought there must be many young people who lack this social capital to get ahead early and create the framework of success for a future career. So he launched at the time Yolobe, and it has a large Milwaukee flavor or instance of it called DCEMKE, all uppercase. That's Yolebe's largest community, actually, very embraced by the Milwaukee Chamber and many fine nonprofit orgs and labor related orgs in the greater southeast Wisconsin area, Todd. But David and I met through my CEO, your former CEO, Rob Filio, who met David maybe 4 years ago at an event, and he loved the premise of Yolobe, and thought Pat should meet David and consider whether there's an application for specifically the work we were doing with candidates and professionals with disabilities into tech. And David and I met, hit it off immediately. I loved his passion. And I loved the fact that he was so engaged in asking me, Pat, do you think this model could be applied to the disability community? And I said, without question, David. What I've learned through the years is that all of these marginalized communities in the labor force share a lot of common features or factors, really, that are lack of representation, a lack of having their value understated grossly all the time, having expectations that are far lower than they should be by society in general and the private sector in particular. So we launched Equal Access out of that discussion and several follow-ups, which was basically the instance or flavor or group within Yolobe applied to students, candidates, and professionals with disabilities looking for career training, growth, apprenticeships, internships, work, jobs themselves. And basically, David has 3 communities that he serves. So it's a very complex digital community. It's not a job board by any means. It's both the business sector or private or otherwise, folks who have jobs, the candidates or members of that community, and the organizations or academic entities that serve, train, or otherwise develop that community or offer services for that community to develop itself professionally. So we launched about 3 years ago, and we've gone through a lot of ups and downs, but a lot of our charter network organizations, the nonprofits, including ITCAN, are still with us and supporting the equal access community.
And ITCAN, that is for those of you not familiar with that, that's the IT, Information Technology Knowledge Abilities Network, correct?
Right.
Hey, see, I still remember this, right?
First time.
Yeah. So ITCAN has been around for many years because I was involved with it when I was working with you with SPR down in Chicago, which was many moons ago now. But man, just some truly brilliant people that I had a chance to meet through that group. And as you said, I mean, this is a segment of the workforce that has been grossly underestimated, had low expectations, underutilized on a consistent basis. And I know, with some of the involvement in some of the programs that I was with in Milwaukee, back in the day too, just even getting a fair shake in an interview process has been an uphill battle over the years, and I mean, I think I've carried that with me in any of the underrepresented groups that I've worked with over time. I'm working with one now, which is another Milwaukee-based organization that they're looking to stand up called We Exist, which is about trying to close the pay gap and to dispel the myth that there's a lack of diverse talent in the Milwaukee market. So I think we got to connect Yolobe and We Exist, because those, again, you were saying similar factors,
Yeah.
for these groups, and I think sort of banding them together, helping them see the commonalities, and directly confronting some of the biases and challenges around employment and pay disparities. I think is just critical work, for us to do in the days ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree, Todd. And this is a candidate-rich environment currently in a lot of the professional sectors, or candidate controlled, I should say. And so many companies are looking for more quality pockets of potential colleagues or employees. So this should enable more marginalized communities historically to have a play and to potentially get ahead in this environment.
Pat, do you feel that so you've had 3 years to kind of see the equal access, get off the ground, and it sounds like it has worked out. Any kind of lessons learned, or things that you maybe ran into that you weren't expecting to find in sort of taking this community into more of an online interactive experience?
Yeah, this has been a real learning experience for me, Todd. As you well know, I'm not a natural technologist by any means.
But you are
I'm a
fearless, my friend, and I love that about you.
I'm a client development guy, etc. But I've served this community and marginalized communities for so long, and I am bright enough to recognize technology can be such an enabling factor that as we've um pulled together this equal access community, it's David and his team at Yolobe have also uh, uh, put so much of an investment into strengthening the tech and the instance that the technology presents to these various stakeholder communities. That part of what I need to focus on is really developing this community and this network among themselves, and creating an environment where they feel they have ownership or
Mhm.
agency. And I've learned a lot of this through you and your guests. And we're in the process of surveying our members with a brief 5 or 6 question survey to kind of get at their core interest in this community. If we need to shift fairly dramatically, we will, because we want ultimately to serve them and their needs. But hopefully, it remains within the pillar of career or job development across the spectrum of work. So that's what we're focused on currently within equal access.
So thanks for that. That's really interesting, and yeah, absolutely critical to get a good pulse on what your members of the community want. I think the survey sounds like a terrific idea. Pat, you mentioned earlier that the Equal Access has some partners that are involved with supporting the effort. Is that is there a monetization side of the platform that are they financially supporting that effort, or is there some kind of grant that's built into supporting the effort for what's there? I'm always curious, how platforms that do social good, fund themselves and find a way forward.
Yeah, this is a very complex challenge for entrepreneurs who launch these communities, Todd. As you know, there are only a couple of models that can be applied, at least to date. David and his team run on a subscription model that is supported by two of the stakeholder communities on balance. The employer community, of course, with the aspiration that they find value and see an increase in their diverse candidate base and qualified, of course. That's a baseline. And then the support or training organizations who also find value in having members of that community sign up for their webinars or paid training, etc. So David is still navigating that. He's also secured certain financing capital, but by and large, like many entrepreneurs with passion, he's managing on his own, and I don't want to share anything more other than to say I respect these entrepreneurs who operate with high levels of passion and just have a vision. And David certainly fits that mold.
Well, I'm sure David's ears are burning in a good way, and I've had a chance to talk to him on a couple of occasions, and he's a brilliant, passionate guy, just as you described him.
He is.
So, Pat, in the time we've got left, I've got a couple of minutes here yet. It would be great to talk a little bit about sort of the impact that the pandemic has had on opportunities for people with disabilities. What's been your experience? Is it a better world? Is it a worse world? Somewhere in between. Like what's your gut check on sort of where we are in particular with this population?
Yeah, great question, Todd. I've tried to educate myself. I have the good fortune with SPR of having a lot of flexibility on logistics, going to the office. SPR management has been, I think, really ahead of the curve, or certainly well informed on how employees and those of us in executive or white collar roles feel about work currently. By and large, the disability community that serves this segment of labor, I think, feels positively, though a bit resentful that the fact that many candidates and professionals with disabilities have requested reasonable accommodations, including remote work or periodic remote work, to manage very real challenges and optimize their productivity. And so many employers, not all, but so many, just discounted that, saying, rationalizing, oh, it's costly, other colleagues will be offended or put out, this will snowball for us. And then the virus hit, and suddenly the entire private sector went remote almost overnight. Almost overnight. And so a lot of disability advocates for work are saying, oh, so typical. But in this new iteration of work, by and large, it's valuable to our candidate base because it can at least reduce some of the bias that's faced. You brought up screening, interviewing bias, similar to people of color, often women executives face that as well in good old boy private companies, etc. So very similar. It can also reduce their or offer candidates and professionals with disabilities more control over their disability and be productive. For example, if you have remitting, recurring MS and you have windows of intense fatigue or pain, you need to take a nap in the middle of the day for an hour or two. And then you can come back strong later in the day and be very productive. That enables a lot of that, as well as obviating social access to events that a lot of times corporate America doesn't enlist or proactively ask folks with evident disabilities, is this venue going to work for you? What questions should we ask of the facility we're going to in order to accommodate you or anyone who needs this accommodation? So in many ways, it's positive, I think, Todd.
Well, and I think it's a great reminder to employers, especially employers coming from a place of privilege, to get out of their own heads and try to think of, the challenges that others, can experience in workplace situations that might seem commonplace to them, but that could pose barriers, for participation. Really, really great insights. So I thought we might wrap up. There's one question here that came up from my friend Sandy Mahalik. I'm just going to pop it up on the screen so we can both sort of see it at once. But she says, as a person with disabilities, I'm very familiar with being undervalued and discriminated against in potential job opportunities. In working with other organizations whose mission was to help, offer training, and advocate for those disabilities, I primarily talked about jobs about stuffing envelopes, stocking shelves, retail works. She adds, with your experience, what organizations would you recommend me reaching out to?
Boy, Sandy, that's a great point. And in this brief window, obviously, we didn't touch on the fact that so many people with disabilities are in high customer contact roles. And of course, either lost their jobs early or willingly left them because of their exposure, higher exposure to the virus around pre-existing conditions, etc., as you well know, Sandy. But I've got many organizations that are very high quality. I can share those offline, Sandy, or share them with Todd, or if you'll provide an email, I'll be happy to communicate directly.
Oh, or maybe she could even reach out directly to you via LinkedIn with a message.
Sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Pat. So again, 30 minutes goes by super fast in these conversations. I hope it's the first of many conversations you and I can have in this venue, because it's just so great to learn from you. And you truly are a global expert around the topic of disability. You are, man. You just are. You're too humble, but yeah. And I really do value your time and expertise that you came to share with us today. So thank you.
Well, I was flattered to be on, Tom, or Todd, or your evil twin, Tom.
It's usually Todd who's the evil twin, but yeah, that works. More conventional name.
I am long-winded than most of your guests, but you planned on that.
Not at all, my friend. Not at all. No, so good. If you want to learn more about Pat, please visit his LinkedIn profile and connect with him. He is profoundly a smart resource to know and get to know better. And SPR Companies is a market leader in information technology and integration work. They're a great company. I used to work for them, in full disclosure, and continue to follow their great accomplishments and things that they do. So,
and we miss you, Todd.
Oh, I miss you guys too. So that brings us to the close of another show, close of another week. And thank you for spending some time with Pat and I this half hour. I'll be back on Monday. I haven't posted it up yet, but my next guest is Jeff Saxey, who is the owner and president of Raleigh Point Economic Consulting. He and I are colleagues and collaborators on efforts in Manitowoc County to further entrepreneurship and build a sense of community in this space. I'm very excited to have him as a guest. He and his brother just finished resurrecting an event which for many years the city of Two Rivers was known for, which was called Snowfest, a summertime festival celebrating snow because back in 1930 something, they discovered a bunch of snow under one of the bleachers that just didn't melt, because Two Rivers is kind of a chilly place. It's a little cooler than the rest of the state. It's actually known as Cool City. So he's going to be coming on the show. We're going to have a great conversation. He's a terrific guy. Hope you join us for that. I've got some other great guests lined up for Wednesday and Friday. I am going to be making a slight venue change with LinkedIn. They gave me the opportunity to post these LinkedIn Lives as events under my company profile. I had previously been posting them under my personal profile, I think I got better visibility into the personal profile. So I'm going to go back to that again. But I would love feedback, from you if you catch this on a replay, where you saw it. Did it show up in your feed? I'm looking for feedback on how best to do this. So anyways, thank you for joining. Please take some time for yourself on the weekend. Take time for your mental health and enjoy. And Pat, we'll see you again on the show very, very soon. Thanks for joining.
I look forward to it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Todd.